Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It gives immense pleasure to welcome Adam here this afternoon to talk about leadership and talking about leadership from battle space to office space. I'll let Adam do his own introduction in terms of his background in a couple of slides' time. What I want to do, first of all, is introduce the mentee for this particular session. If you look in the chat bar, you will see the link to the mentee and what do you look for in the leader. Just put in your answers in relation to that as we're going along. You can constantly just kind of click back and click on the mentee. It allows you up to 250 characters. So just please, this is for our evaluation in terms of further developing our understanding in relation to kind of future skills weeks, if you'd like. So that this is something, again, you can share, you can see your own results and stuff. And Adam, I can share this with you further on down the line. Okay. So, leadership from battle space to office space. This session will last approximately 45 minutes, and we'll have time at the end then if anybody has any questions, for Adam. What we're looking to do this afternoon is, we're looking at leadership, we're looking at resilience. When we were looking at speakers, obviously I've connections with Adam from way back in terms of looking at the leadership and practice program that we run with the University Officer Training Corps, which hopefully will be starting to run again next year. That's in the pipeline, so do keep an eye out for that. This session will look how military leadership, specifically the model leaders, it's an acronym, can be utilized within the civilian and business environment. Session will demonstrate how a military leadership approach can provide benefit to new and inspiring leaders of the future. And that's you guys at the end of the day. That's you, our students, our undergraduates, postgraduates, who will be going out into professional graduate level employment. And as the future leaders in society and the economy, then this is an important presentation in terms of the learning gain that you can take from this and the application of that learning gain as you progress into positions of leadership at the end of the day. So without further ado, then I would like to introduce Adam Slingsby, and Adam, take it away, please.
Cheers, thank you, Norman. Afternoon, everyone. First, thanks for having me as part of your Future Skills Week. It's really great to be here today. Really hope you find the week beneficial and you've taken a load of stuff away so far. Program, from what I can see from my end, looks amazing. You've had some brilliant speakers. And I hope you've really got the most out of this week. This afternoon, then, we want to take the opportunity to talk about leadership and how military leadership can be used within a civilian setting for you guys and girls going forward on your own professional journeys. Okay, so a bit about myself then, just very briefly. Served in the Army now for over 22 years. Worked in a variety of leadership and training roles, from training recruits to training potential officer cadets at the university, training corps in Belfast, and currently training people to deploy on UN operations all over the world. Very fortunate enough last couple of years to get my own first class honours degree in business leadership management after leaving school with nothing. So the Army's really helped me in that way. And I've also become a chartered manager as well through the Army. And also now got a keen interest in helping people and younger generations in their own leadership and coaching and mentoring staffs. And then very briefly, I set up a kind of foundation for veterans in Northern Ireland to help them connect professionally and educationally with more people in Northern Ireland. And then obviously next year, I'm planning on leaving the Army myself after reaching a retirement age of 40 and moving into the civilian sector within Northern Ireland. Okay, then, so over the next 45 minutes then, what I really want to kind of talk about, as we go through it, we're going to talk about the importance of good leadership, qualities of a good leader, the academic foundations of the leaders model, which we'll dive straight into, the leaders model itself and what it all stands for, how you can put the leaders model, which we'll speak about, into practice within your own kind of career fields at university, outside university, and all the kind of various ways we can do that. And then we're going to briefly touch on transactional, transformational leadership and the importance of each. And then how you develop as leaders moving forward, obviously after life at university, etc. And then few kind of book recommendations, and I'll very, very happily take any questions you've got, either following up on emails or on the chat, etc. here. So let's crack on. So leadership then. Why is leadership important within your organisation? In the military as well as the civilian sector, leadership should be seen and treated as an action and not a position. We can't just place someone in a role and expect them to be a natural leader. It's just not going to work. It takes time, practice, and continual professional development to become an effective and valued leader. And leadership is going to allow you the following. It's going to allow you the ability to plan, organise, set goals and objectives for yourself and your teams. It's going to give you a platform to help you motivate and persuade people to carry out tasks and missions, as well as coach and mentor others as well in your workplace. Okay, it's also going to allow you to tackle problems, solutions that you come up with using the guidance of your team. And it's also going to set tasks using your strengths and knowing your team as well. So with this, some more leadership then to drive your organisation and deliver goals, missions, and tasks. Okay, so what are the qualities of a good leader then? And we're briefly going to look at this now. What I want you to do before we start this though, is to make a quick note or comment in the chat of the top 3 qualities that you think a leader should possess, and then fire them into the comments box, or we can chat about it at the end. So I'd be keen to kind of get everyone's kind of view on this, and it's good to see there's a few coming through already. Everyone's going to have different views on what leadership qualities people should possess, and it's all depends whether you're in the military sector, the civilian sector, what kind of career field you're in, etc. Okay, but we need to look at what leaders possess as a quality. Okay, so the ones that I would say, you know, from my background of developing leaders and my 22 years of experience working within the kind of leadership environment, I'm going to break it down into 7. Okay. Number 1, you need to be enthusiastic and have a bit of charisma about you. Okay, not overly enthusiastic or be an absolute kind of the joker of the pack, but you need to have a little bit about yourself. Okay, obviously to get you through the day. Be enthusiastic about your job and carry some charisma, people skills, where you could help you connect with others. I believe also you need to be honest. Okay, you need to exhibit integrity. Okay, without each of these, you're not going to be a trustworthy leader. Okay, or get the kind of the buy-in from the people that you're trying to lead. You also need to have strong communication skills. Okay, like you've all been kind of doing during these sessions as well, actively listening to people. Also the ability to communicate with people, whether that be verbally, through these kind of sessions, emails, all that kind of stuff. Okay, and then you also need to show loyalty to your people as well, and the people you want to lead. Okay, because they will follow you if you're loyal to them. Okay. Number 5, then, you need to be decisive in your actions. At the end of the day, you are the leader of the team, the organisation, etc. You need to be decisive in your actions and trust your actions and your beliefs to take your team forward to either deliver results, objectives, or create products or profits. Okay, number 6, then, you need to allow and give the ability for empowerment of your people and also to aid in their development in others. Okay, you can't be a selfish leader and be all about you. You need to be able to empower people, trust people, okay, and give them the tools, the time, okay, to develop themselves and create leaders behind you. Okay, a good leader will create leaders that follow them in the future behind them in their career paths. And then number 7, lastly, I would argue the fact that also you need to have a competence in your field. Okay, there's no point me coming into a cyber role after I leave the army, etc., and trying to be a leader within that field when I don't understand the field itself. I don't understand the industry. Okay, sometimes you can do that, but other times you need to have competence in the field, which gives you the ability to lead and guide your team through challenging kind of missions and tasks. Okay, so that's qualities of good leaders, and it's good to see there the chat box bouncing some good ideas off, which we'll talk about at the end. Okay, then we're just going to briefly now talk about the academic kind of foundation that kind of underpins the model that we're going to speak about. Okay, so before we dive fully into the leaders model, it's worth noting the underlying academic foundations. Okay, we won't harp on too much about the academic side of their life. I want to dive straight into the actual model. This model that we're going to discuss, leaders, it's not just a bunch of good ideas that me and my kind of colleagues have come up with during our time in the army. It's got strong academic heritage behind it, okay, which is hopefully going to give you all today some confidence about the model and its strengths and how you can kind of see the cross deck of these kind of traits and behaviors from my kind of life in the military, obviously, to yours now and your future careers within the civilian sectors. Okay, the model though is heavily drawn from the theory of both transformational and transactional leadership practices, okay, which we'll touch on later on again. But for me, the best way to describe transactional leadership is that of the carrot and the stick approach. Whereas leaders, we motivate our people by the exchange. Okay, and that exchange is either usually for an reward or punishment. Okay, and is a very directive style of leadership, and is widely used traditionally across the military. Okay, it does secure results, but normally the ones that are transactional, very transactional, as the leader expects. However, when it comes to transformational leadership, the leader then needs to engage in a different manner and aims to create and builds a connection, which in turn works towards raising the level of motivation and morale within your people, your staff, your teams. Okay, which for me, okay, as I now transition, is very fundamental in becoming more kind of transactional in my approach. Transformational. Okay, as leaders, then being attentive to our people needs and requirements is going to help you, okay, moving forward, in turn, to help people reach their fullest potential. Okay, as the theory of transformational leadership has shown, it's very proven in providing effective results. With the model, then you're shortly going to see, okay, you'll see it's been designed and adapted slightly by the Army, okay, to fit the language and the model that we need to within a military context. Okay, an example of which is one of the ideas you'll see was idealized influence. Okay, and you'll see that's been changed to lead by example, which we'll talk about more on the next slide. Okay, so what we're now going to look at then is the actual leaders model itself. We'll bring it all up as one hit, so you'll see the leaders in full. Please take a screenshot of this, however you want to do it, and then we're going to dive deeply into each one. Okay then, leaders itself then. Okay, and we'll start from the top. Lead by example, encourage thinking, apply reward and discipline, demand high performance, encourage confidence within your teams. Okay, recognize individual strengths and weaknesses. Okay, and then the strive for team goals. Okay, and like I said, now we're going to go through one of these, each of these at a time. Okay then, lead by example. Okay, lead by example then. Be it within a military or civilian organization, how can we or you going forward be valued and trusted as new leaders or future leaders if we cannot lead our people for events, tasks, scenarios, jobs, okay, that we're not willing to do ourselves or conduct ourselves? Okay, what I mean by that is you need to lead the example by setting the way. If I won't do a job as a leader, how can I expect someone to ask, someone to do it on my behalf? Okay, as leaders then, we must constantly be striving towards effectively demonstrating and communicating with our workforce and the teams the values and standards of the organization we represent inside and outside of the workplace. Okay, so pretty much what that means there is, the example you're setting in and out the workplace, okay, is going to be watched. You're going to be seen by your kind of peers, your workforce, your team. Okay, if you're setting a bad example, okay, they're going to probably follow trait, try and get away with things, etc. Okay, you need to be setting the example in and out of the workplace. Okay, this is more kind of in and out of the workplace is more kind of in a military sense. Okay, civilian setting, maybe outside the workplace less so. Okay, because you're free to go pretty much at the end of the day. For myself, when I'm living and working around people for 6-7 months at a time, in and out of work, okay, I need to set the example pretty much 24/7. Okay, by walking the walk as well as talking the talk with our people, it's going to greatly aid in the promotion of integrity and will inspire confidence or courage and selfless commitment within our people and teams as they learn and develop from our examples that we set them as leaders. Okay, as leaders, then we need to sweat the small stuff. As people who inspire to lead can pick up the basics, the way in which we engage with others. Okay, what I mean by sweat the small stuff is, the small things. If we start doing the small things, okay, in setting the example, using fire exits, all these kind of different things that you can think of in the workplace that are wrong. Okay, if we start doing that on a daily basis, okay, people are going to start doing that as well. Okay, so we need to lead the example from the very, very top. Okay, if we as leaders then can get this right, okay, call the basics, then people are pretty much going to find it, hard, or we'll find it harder to see our true qualities. Okay, so if I'm cutting corners, not setting an example, people are not going to see me for the true leader that I am. Okay, due to me setting the wrong example. Okay, but a word of warning. Okay, here we must always be true in our actions and never try to fake the example you're trying to portray to your people. Okay, in my experience, you will always get found out very quickly, and it's either going to harm you professionally, okay, or it's going to harm your leadership style and traits. Okay, moving on then to the next one. Encourage thinking. Okay, encourage thinking. I'm a massive believer of this one. Okay, and we'll talk about it more in detail now. Like a muscle, the brain develops through its use, and it needs to be worked. Okay, so therefore, as leaders, we've got to ask our people workforce questions and challenge them to think as individuals and as teams. Okay, by doing so, then it's going to allow them the opportunity within an active working environment to create open discussions, test their theories and ideas, and develop their own problem-solving skill sets, either as individuals or as teams. Okay, when I've done this throughout my career, I'm often very surprised and also quite proud with what falls out from these sessions when I encourage my workforce, okay, to actively think and encourage them to think and think outside the box. Okay, this chimes very much when, as leaders, we set the conditions for missions or tasks. Okay, in that we tell people what we wish to achieve, but not how to do it. Okay, we need to be able to trust your workforce and allow them the freedom and trust to deliver. Okay, and this goes back to the old kind of saying of micromanagement, etc. Okay, trust your workforce, give them the free rein. Okay, to go away, think of ideas. Okay, thrash things out in sessions, open workshops, however you want to skin the cat. Okay, and allow and promote this encourage thinking kind of policy. Okay, by doing it, you will absolutely see wonders. Okay, by allowing these thinking skills to develop, it's also going to create a positive behaviour across your workforce. Okay, by their participation and commitment to the completions of the tasks that they've been set. Okay, because they're actively involved and they're actively being encouraged to think. Okay, it's also going to demonstrate respect for others by asking colleagues for their opinion, which will not only build and foster trust and confidence further within your own organisations or teams. Okay, for me personally, be it in a military or civilian setting, we as leaders set the correct conditions for a positive climate. Okay, we need to be able to allow our people to feel more valued and not be afraid to ask questions, or more importantly, bring ideas to the table. Okay, that could change the outcome of a project. Okay, create higher profits, or just be a really cool idea. Okay, moving on. Apply and reward discipline. Okay, for me, apply and reward discipline is going to come in two parts. Okay, firstly then, rewards. And I will be honest with you, at times, we in the military can get this wrong compared to the way it's conducted within the business industry. Our people, and going forward, your people, are going to be motivated by recognition as it inspires them to conduct further endeavours and promotes personal determination for them to better themselves and do even better moving forward, either as an individual or within a team. You then as leaders must take the opportunity going forward to reward your people, your workforce, your teams, wherever possible, but also be aware of recognizing the efforts of your team as well as results. Okay, so what I mean by that last point is you might have a team that might have not achieved the full aim, but they have absolutely worked night and day to attempt to reach that point. Okay, but you must recognize that also as well as the final results. Okay, it will work wonders. Okay, you should look at to apply the full spectrum of awards as appropriate, everything from formal awards to verbal praise. Okay, never underestimate the uplifting value of a simple well done. Okay, to a person that will go a long, long way. Okay, and I've witnessed this numerous times throughout my career. Okay, from the very junior soldier to a senior officer, a simple thank you, okay, and a well done to someone, it costs nothing. Okay, but they will appreciate that sentence, that paragraph, whatever, for the rest of the day. And for some, it may be one of the biggest rewards they've ever been given. Okay, gratitude and thanks, okay, cost nothing, especially within this kind of career fields that we're all going to be moving into. Okay, so please kind of employ you to do that. Another way we can reward is to simply consider implementing incentives, okay, to recognise the efforts across your workforce. It's important that we do this openly across the organisation so that anyone can be rewarded, regardless of position, rank, etc. Okay, and this is going to have a positive impact on your workforce in the long run if we run these kind of incentives, employee of the month, kind of Amazon vouchers or whatever kind of thing for best dressed or most improved, all these kind of different things we can reward people for. Okay, the use of the reward then is going to help you promote loyalty and respect across the organisation, and also it's going to just give you kind of good team cohesion if people are if they feel valued, wanted. Okay, and like I said at the start there, we're simply saying to our staff or our employees, well done for today, really good effort, let's carry that on tomorrow. Okay, these little simple things. Leadership's not complicated. Okay, it's not rocket science as such. It's just some of the really simple things that we can do, to put a smile on our employee's face at the end of the day. Okay, but with that then, now to discipline. Discipline's an area we in the military most likely have a bit more free rein on compared to you within the civilian sectors, due to the impact it can have on our organisation and the way we conduct business, when we're on operations. Be it in the military or civilian sectors, we as leaders then must apply discipline in a timely and correct manner. Leaders, okay, of the future, you must identify and deal with issues in order to maintain the standards within your organisation, especially if this falls within the ethos and the values and standards of your organisation. Okay, but this is for you is going to require some moral courage. Okay, especially from the junior kind of leaders amongst you, if you then start challenging maybe people at the same level or people above you, okay, when it comes to kind of a discipline matter. Okay, but you have to have that moral courage and that moral fibre underneath, okay, to be able to do that. Okay, as leaders then we must also be transparent and make it clear that nobody is above the law or exempt from discipline. Okay, a lack of discipline compromises the integrity of any organization, regardless of how big it is or how small it is. Okay, once integrity starts to crumble and then trust becomes an issue, okay, you're going to have bigger issues. Okay, the correct application of discipline promotes self-discipline, especially within my soldiers, and it's the best kind, and it's key to optimizing performance. But obviously within your kind of settings, you'll be working and leading people who are not conditioned to this type of discipline. Okay, from day dot when I joined the army, okay, discipline was up there in one of the top 3 things I had to do every day. Okay, for a normal kind of your average kind of civilian employee, okay, you're not conducting discipline in instilling that into them from their first kind of interview or induction into the workplace. Okay, so you need to have that in the back of your mind that not everyone is going to be kind of highly disciplined. Okay, which may cause you bigger concerns within that workforce or with that employee due to that instilled discipline. Okay, but word of advice when it definitely comes to discipline on this slide, if you're ever in doubt, okay, in regards to discipline, and the way that you need to carry it out, especially if you're kind of new to kind of leadership. Okay, you're still building your confidence up within the leadership or within a team. You're new to a team, etc. Always seek advice before you confront someone about their discipline or behaviour. Okay, so pretty much so you are forearmed with the correct information going forward. Okay, with the values and standards of your organisation, company policies, all these kind of things. As a leader, we all need to be pretty kind of swept up really well on this kind of stuff. So before you confront someone over their discipline or behaviour, go to HR, whoever, okay, and just check with that. Okay, demanding high performance then. Okay, my world, okay, it can often be a very high stake game. Okay, there are times in my career when leading is literally life or death in the actions that I'm asking of my people. Okay, therefore high performance is not a nice to have. Okay, for me, it's essential. Okay, but as leaders, be that in the military or civilian industry, okay, as leaders, we must openly communicate our expectations of high performance to those we lead and serve. Okay, by letting them know, okay, what we expect, okay, and what we require. Okay, our people need to be actively challenged, okay, and given targets in order for them to understand what they are truly capable of delivering. Okay, and for many, okay, by actively encouraging them, you will get more than that person generally thinks they can deliver. Okay, because they trust you as a leader, they believe in you. Okay, and they will overperform on their expectations. Okay, as leaders, then we must ensure we understand what high performance really means within our own organisation. Okay, as whatever role you are to play in vital part, okay, it will have a vital part, in the bigger picture of your organisation, and you're all one team. Okay, therefore, whatever department or team we work, we must demand the highest standards, ensuring that our team add value and drive them towards success in doing so. Okay, but again, another word of caution: we must ensure that our people learn to crawl before we make them run. Okay, so when setting these performance markers, okay, we must ensure that they're achievable and we're being realistic with what we're asking. Okay, we need to match the skill set of our staff, our team, us as leaders, okay, to the capabilities within your team. Okay, you need to be able to develop your team going forward before you ask too much of them. Okay, or you're going to create burnout. A trick to this then is constantly optimize your team over time. Build their skills. Okay, invest in your team. Okay, in them both professionally, okay, and personally. Okay, so you understand your people, okay, and what they are capable of achieving and what they are capable of delivering. Okay, more moving forward. Coach and mentor them where required. Okay, to ensure you allow, okay, for them to deliver their best deliver their best output. If we as leaders get this wrong, okay, and seek too high performance or standards too fast, then we've failed as leaders. Okay, it's going to have a massive impact on your output and delivery, but more importantly, it will have a negative and demoralising effect on your workforce. Okay, but when done correctly, demanding high performance can promote a vast amount of courage, selfless commitment, and loyalty within your teams. Okay, moving on then. Encourage confidence in your team. Okay, and you'll see how this kind of goes hand in hand with what I've already kind of spoke about already today. For us all as leaders to inspire and motivate people, we must set the conditions for trust and confidence to flourish amongst others. Okay, we need our people to be confident in their individual abilities and also those of the teams that we've placed them in or they're working in. We can promote this then by demonstrating faith in them, by giving them responsibilities and talking enthusiastically about success. We can actively promote teamwork and collaboration to show what can be achieved when people work as a collective. Remind your team that going forward, okay? Teams are often stronger, okay, when everyone works collectively, okay, as not as individuals. There is no point being in a team if we're all going to work as individuals, okay? We need to work as a team, one purpose and one goal, okay? Especially in my world and also the world you will be going into, where teamwork is everything in achieving our goals. Okay. It's also important then that you display trust in the chain of command and management of your own organizations. This in turn is going to create and promote confidence in your team, okay, and with it will bring respect, loyalty across the workforce. Okay. Confidence in any team was always going to encourage, loyalty, self-discipline, and commitment. Okay, and going from that, that slide there, just to end on, you need to be positive in the way you kind of do business. Okay, I've been in numerous teams before. Okay, we've had really strong leaders. Okay, but they've just not encouraged confidence in us. Okay, they've pretty much kept us on a leash, kept us on a tight rein, and we've just kind of just gone through the mill. Okay, you need to encourage that confidence in your team. You will just get so much better kind of results going forward as leaders, especially on your kind of journeys moving forward. Okay, next off then, recognizing individuals' strengths and weaknesses. Okay, and for me this is quite a big one. Okay, every member of your team, okay, regardless if you're working in McDonald's, for Citibank, Deloitte, whoever you are, wherever you're working, okay, everyone in that team has something to offer the rest of the team, however big or small, okay, it may be. Okay, and everyone, myself included, okay, we've all got areas that require development. Okay, and that is what pretty much this week's about, Future Skills Week. It's about what I do, my own CPD kind of, progressing, getting ready to leave the army, etc. Okay, we all need to work on our strengths and weaknesses, pretty much most of the time. Okay, but us as future leaders then, okay, within your industries, you must be able to then, moving forward, identify people within your team. Okay, you must identify their strengths and weaknesses. Okay, and you can do this by 360 feedback, spending the day with them on the kind of shop floor, etc. However you want to do it. Okay, but you need to understand your people and their strengths and weaknesses. Okay, as well as your own as well, and address them accordingly. Doing so, then it's going to ensure that your team, okay, is able moving forward to fulfill its potential. Okay, regardless if that's profits, products, whatever. Okay, and it's going to achieve everything together moving forward. Okay, you must be able to then capitalize on strengths. Okay, capitalize on the strengths. Everyone will have weaknesses. Okay, but capitalize on people's strengths. Okay, and employ them to the best effect. Okay, to benefit your team, as well as to challenge and inspire confidence and motivate additional effort to stretch even further. Always seeking to optimize performance with all involved. Okay, so capitalize on your strengths, push people and promote their strengths. Okay, put them into the right roles. Okay, coach and mentor them through the process. Okay, really boost their confidence up with the strengths they've got. Okay, and involve them in the team. Okay, if someone's really good at something, why stop them from doing it and focus and get them to do something they're weak at. Okay, put all your strengths in kind of one pot, work on everyone's strengths, and you will see the results fully. Look for opportunities for people to shine actively seek situations to play on their strengths, like I said. Okay, and this will do wonders, and give them praise for that as well. In playing to strengths, however, we must not neglect individual weaknesses. Okay, so to do so would let down the individual and the team by not seeking to optimize performance in all areas. Okay, so if there is a weakness, okay, we need to look at how we kind of bring this weakness up to a strength. Do they require further training? Do they need to attend courses? Do they need coaching and mentoring sessions? Okay, does that person need to move role? Are they not suited for this role or the job? Okay, so maybe one-on-one kind of chat when it comes to that kind of stuff. When you set out to address any weakness which has been identified by yourself or others, we must ensure we do so, okay, in an understanding and considerate manner. Focus your attention towards the root of the problem and the potential to improve, rather than current impact on a weakness. Okay, what I mean by that is, okay, we need to have a nice kind of chat with these people and really kind of deep dive into their problems and kind of come up with an action plan of how we can bring that strength or that weakness, up to a strength, and work with them. Okay, we're not just going to out them in the middle of the office, okay, because they failed to achieve a task, okay, because they have some form of weakness or skill deficit. Coaching techniques are extremely useful when we use this. Okay, and that can be either, you know, addressed as individually or teams as we address our strengths and weaknesses. Okay, my top tip for this is to try and attempt to intervene early whenever we kind of identify any kind of weaknesses, and address the problem with the full involvement of the person affected, and work on, like I've said there before, action plans, okay, to address and correct any issues as discussed. Okay, but we must, to kind of cap that slide off, okay, you must understand your people. Okay, everyone, like I said at the start, has individual strengths and weaknesses. You as leaders, okay, we need to understand this. This is kind of bread and butter stuff. Okay. Lastly then, when it comes to the models, okay, strive for team goals. Okay, by sharing goals within a team and working towards them collectively, okay, in my view, always produces a higher result as people work, you know, with each other instead of against each other. Okay, and they're all striving towards the same goal and purpose. By us challenging our team to accept and strive for shared goals, it's going to create a shared purpose and aid in binding them together. Okay, and it's going to enhance your team spirit and pretty much the morale, you know, the atmosphere within your organisation. As leaders, though, it's our responsibility to do all we can to fuel and promote this team spirit and encourage team members to put the needs of the team first before their own to achieve the goals that we've set out. Okay, we must identify suitable goals to strive towards. Okay, my life in the military certainly caters for this, and so does life in the civilian sector. Okay, life is full of goals and objectives that we can all work towards, and I'm sure you're all working towards several now with your studies. And, you know, as you look to finish your studies, start your studies even. Okay, move on to your next chapters. Okay, your chosen career fields. Okay, my own current goal at present is working towards preparing myself for life after the army. Okay, which is my kind of team goal for me and my family. Okay, but when it comes to our teams, we may have to think outside the box to help identify something which is going to inspire and motivate them collectively. Okay, not everything works for everyone. Okay, so we might have to kind of come up with an objective, a goal. Okay, you know, for the wider audience of our teams. Great way to do this might be to give them a collective purpose. Okay, in the form of charitable events to provide something different from the everyday. Okay, to stimulate them and infuse them. And I've used this quite a lot with my own kind of soldiers before in the past. You know, I've given them a goal of raising so much money for charity, got them to go away. Yeah, they've kind of done a little Dragon's Den kind of of ideas. Okay, and then I've given them the nod for which one we're going to go for. Okay, some of the positivity that comes out of this is amazing. But again, you know, don't just conform to kind of the way people are telling you to do things. You know, the way things have been done before. Okay, I'm very much a kind of think outside the box kind of person. Okay, and yeah, I would implore you to do that more as you go forward as well. Okay then. Okay, so that's pretty much, you know, the leader's model, you know, as in itself. And you can see now on the slide there, putting leaders into practice. Okay, we have vision, support, and challenge. Okay, and you know, as the kind of circle goes around on the model there, you can see, you know, the kind of things we spoke about. Okay, so the vision, lead by example, encourage confidence, strive for team goals. The support kind of aspect of leadership. Okay, the you know, applying reward and discipline, recognizing individuals, you know, kind of strengths and weaknesses, and then the challenge kind of piece. Okay, actively encourage thinking within the environment and demanding, you know, that high performance, you know, from your teams. Okay, and I'm cautious of time now, so we're not going about the graph too much. Yeah, moving on then. Okay, we spoke about it at the start then, when to be transactional or transformational. Okay, as you can see by the picture there, you know, this is from Kabul last year, you know, pretty much kind of the creme de la creme of the British Army's kind of infantry and fighting, okay, in that kind of situation there. Okay, and a lot of the leaders there, very, very used to, you know, transactional kind of leadership, and then having to conform to transformational leadership to get them through the situation you kind of see in the picture there. Okay, but with this then, when moving forward in your own leadership development, and if you choose to use this model we've discussed today, okay, you need to ensure you get the correct balance between transactional, okay, and transformational leadership right. Okay, there's a very fine line, okay, between switching between the two. Okay, in my military world, there's definitely a time and a place for transactional, where I require people just to do the job, okay, and just to get on with it, okay, due to the kind of the risk involved, the stress involved, etc. Okay, and I also need people to react kind of instantly and rely on their muscle memory and all the training, okay, to kick in and just achieve the aim. But it can also be when I'm applying discipline in a robust and directive style if needed. But okay, moving forward, we must be very aware falling into the trap of operating at the transactional end of this spectrum you see far too often. Okay, it's not healthy, okay, to be sat right at the kind of left of arc here at transactional kind of leadership. Okay, it's not good for you and it's not good for your people. Arguably, it is arguably the easiest leadership style to apply and requires less effort for you as a leader. But when it's over and misused in circumstances that don't warrant this kind of exchange, it can have a very demotivational effect and build resentment towards you as a leader, okay, which is going to result in a lack of trust and confidence by your people. Okay, so when and wherever possible, we must look to operate at the other end of the spectrum and take a transformational approach, creating a climate where people feel valued, okay, and want to perform to the very best in order to help the team achieve these shared goals we've already spoke about. This is going to take time, though. It's going to take thought and effort, okay, but the rewards you will get from this are going to be significant. Application of the discipline is an obvious example to be applied when things have gone wrong to correct failings, okay, and you're going to have to decide whether you're going to be transactional or transformational in your leadership when it becomes a discipline kind of area. Similarly, the demanding of high performance can be transactional when the situation demands, but the majority of your time you should communicate your expectations in a way that makes people want to perform to a higher and even higher standard. Okay, getting the balance of approaches is extremely important. Okay, it's going to take practice to get this right. Okay, junior leaders, in my experience in particular, you may find it or will find it difficult to move away from the transactional end of the spectrum, okay, because this is the environment they're kind of used to, okay, and move more towards the transformational kind of approach. Okay, so you can see there from kind of the brief discussion we've had, the kind of issues and problems between the two, and we can discuss that more in the question set shortly. Okay, how can you all develop then as leaders moving forward? More importantly, okay. So basically, you've had this week, your Future Skills Week, like I've said at the very start, all the kind of stuff. That is going to help you all, take all the different sessions away, and it's going to help you deliver, more of a better products going forwards, as a leader. Okay, so where from here? Okay, we've already looked at the model, okay, the model leaders, okay, and the 7 behaviours which is included. Okay, it has been very kind of fast paced, with the time we've got, etc. But I can always send links for future reading, etc., which we'll speak about at the end. What I need you to do now, though, is to go away, okay, and practice this model within your own organisations. Within your own organisations, if you're already working, your career fields, placements, whatever stage of studies you're at, okay, and see what and where, okay, this can benefit you and what you can gain from it as you develop and enhance your leadership skills moving forward within your career fields. Okay, not everything is going to suit everyone. Okay, so take away the 7 kind of behaviours, see what kind of works for you. Maybe do a kind of 360 feedback in your kind of peer groups, see whether you're very transactional or transformational, okay, and set the foundations going forward of what way you're going to tackle and enhance your leadership kind of skills. Review what you're already doing in terms of your leadership and your leadership styles, and see whether the model can complement you or can enhance you as well. And then just practice. Okay, it will all aid your leadership development, as well as your confidence. Okay, and what I will say, with leadership, the biggest thing for me is the confidence aspect. Okay, you need to have the confidence there, okay, to be quite a good leader or an effective leader. Okay, so if you're unconfident and you're still working on that kind of style of things, okay, it will come. Okay, and so will leadership as well. Okay, you need to think about what leadership is going to mean for you within organizations, because different organizations have different styles as well. That's the slide. Okay, then we'll just going back to that one. Sorry. Yeah. So basically, the moral of the story there, you take everything that you can away, from all these kind of sessions and develop yourself as leaders. If I was to, join straight from school. If I was to be put in a position, I was today, or presenting this kind of brief to you today, would I be able to do it? Probably not, because I hadn't had that exposure, that time on the kind of shop floor, honing my own kind of skills as a leader, to understand, the subject, the knowledge, how to put things into practice. Okay, so take your time. It's not a race. Okay, you're at the start of your careers. You're kind of learning journeys now. Take the time, to practice and practice and practice. Okay, so finishing off on them before we take some questions there. Again, cautious of the time. Just a few kind of like book recommendations that I would kind of, would help you with your study, especially if you are kind of studying leadership or business, etc. Okay, and we'll start from the left and work away right. Okay, so the first kind of book that I've read lately, and I've pushed down to quite a few of my boys and girls, is Turn the Ship Around by David Marquette. Okay, so this book is about a US submarine captain who took a new submarine on, and it was very, very poorly led before he got there. And it's all about how he pretty much kind of conducted change management, leadership styles, instilled kind of more kind of stuff onto the staff and the officers of the boat, and took a kind of step back and allowed them to kind of run the ship as such. Okay, so definitely that's one to look at. Next one then, Stand Up Straight, 10 Lessons from Sanders. For those of you that may be on today's call that might be in the OTC or thinking about going into the OTC, this is a great one to kind of have in your kind of pocket. Okay, it's all about life lessons that have been kind of learned from people that've conducted officer training at Sanders and stuff like that. It's a really good book. In the middle then, okay, Extreme Ownership by a guy called Jocko. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. He's got several books out now and some really good podcasts, etc. It's all about how he's used his time as a Navy SEAL, and he's moved into like the corporate kind of world, corporate environment, and how he conducts leaderships, etc. Again, really good book, and I would definitely recommend some of his kind of podcasts as well. He's a really kind of influential kind of character. Next book then, The Habit of Excellence. Okay, this is all about kind of leadership within the British Army, pretty much kind of the stuff that we spoke about today. Okay, and why it makes the Army work with the way we kind of do business. Also highly recommend that one. And then a new one, it's only been out the last couple of weeks, Business Leadership Under Fire. It's a really good book of showing how military leadership and styles can be used within a civilian, and it's kind of half written by an ex-military officer and a very renowned kind of businessman, business leader. So again, kind of take a look at them and see what you think. Okay then, so that's kind of the session. I know it's been kind of very fast paced, and we've kind of jumped about a bit kind of thing. Leadership, we could sit here pretty much till the cows come over and talk about it. 45 minutes is just the tip of the iceberg. So what I'd like to do now though is to take any questions anyone's got, either on the chat or you can jump up and speak. We can take as much time as you want, and then we'll just conduct a summary at the end. Thank you very much.
Adam, thank you very much. An awful lot to take in there, and I appreciate it. It's a 45-minute session, and you're talking about both years of experience and the whole academic background and the whole Sandhurst training thing. I just as you were talking there, one of the things that kind of struck me is, you talk about young leaders, and our graduates will be getting into those kind of graduate positions where they may well be going into a leadership position. where they're leading people who have years and years of experience. And I was kind of thinking about the sort of the picture there of some of those young officers at Sandhurst, where they're coming in and they're promoted. They do their training at Sandhurst or whatever, and they're promoted then, to junior officer, and they're then leading, guys and girls that have, years of experience on the ground. How do they square that circle then? They're coming in the lead, a troop or a platoon, or whatever the terminology is at the end of the day. And our young graduates coming in, will be potentially going into graduate management positions after a year or two, having responsibility for people who, may not be graduates but have years of experience on the ground. What advice would you give?
So yes, for us personally in the army, like for example, now I've just got a new boss who's an officer, he's a captain. He's done a few jobs in the army. I think he's about 25, 26. So I'm nearly knocking on the wrong side of 40. You'll see it all across departments in the army. People will go through standards, for a year, 2 years maybe. But when they hit the kind of shop floor, it's down to like the maybe the older, bolder amongst us, to act as the not father figures, the wrong kind of word, but the mentor, show them the ropes, set their conditions, but there's a very fine line between you still got to appreciate that person is there as the leader, and they're still your boss, regardless of age. And for the students, and the guys and girls, going into like, the big kind of organizations, etc. Yeah, it's going to be the same kind of thing. You need to seek these kind of mentors out, find your feet, build your confidence. Confidence is is a massive thing to me. Especially with some of these officers, etc., that come in, they may be overconfident, they may not be underconfident. It's just finding that fine balance. Another example is myself. I'm going to go back into the civilian world next year at the age of 40, 41, and people on this call today might be in a leadership position, and I might be working for them. So it's kind of reverse mentoring. Showing me,
Yeah.
showing me the ropes of the world, and what the latest kind of Microsoft gadgets are, etc. Yeah, it works both
It's
ways.
funny because you say that, and I was just looking at some of the comments there that Maura had put up. It is called confidence at the end of the day. It's that ability to switch between the different styles and learn as well. And we've mentioned the whole continuous professional development, etc. We've literally only got a couple of minutes left. Adam, I want to
Yeah,
put a few links here into the chat bar, and again, it's a shameless promotion of both the University Officer Training Corps, the Royal Air Force University uh, Corps, and again the Naval Corps. And
yeah,
if anybody's interested, and nobody's suggesting this is you signing up to join the Army or the Air Force or the Navy. These are particularly for undergraduates in terms of providing that opportunity to get those leadership skills, to develop those leadership skills, and again to evidence those leadership skills. So I've put the links in there. I've put all the try services in there so that everybody's getting a fair suck of the salve at the end of the day. And I know it's still called Queen's University Officer Training Corps, because historically that's what it was called. But if you're an undergraduate at university in Northern Ireland, you have an entitlement, to apply to either the University Officer Training Corps, the University Air Squadron, or the University Royal Naval Unit. So I've put those links in there because there are opportunities to gain that experience, an experience is vital at the end of the day in terms of finding your feet and developing that confidence and putting yourself outside of your comfort zone. And these are all things, opportunities that are available to our students. So it's an unashamed plug from my point of view, in relation to those sides of things. And we literally have a couple of minutes left. So again, Donna made the point there in the sidebar that these are all things that are really important in terms of evidencing, on your CV at the end of the day when it comes to selection and recruitment exercises, because as the potential leaders of the future, future graduate recruiters, postgraduate providers want to see that you have an understanding of that as you have developed your academic career and gone through that kind of professional development and have had the learning and the training and the experiential side of things that you can then provide really good concrete examples for when it comes to CV, when it comes to interviews, when it comes to assessment center days. And I think, those three particular organizations from a leadership perspective, because it's the officer training core, where you will be put into positions where you will have to lead. Just to say, and off the back of that, the next session then that we're looking at this afternoon is CV boosting leadership skills. What are they and how to develop them? So you'll notice that we've had a program today that has all built on each other, and it's been interesting looking at some of the different speakers' ideas and attitudes in terms of what leadership is. And I want to really take the time now to thank you, Adam, very very much for all of the work that you've put into this over the last sort of couple of weeks, and your delivery then this afternoon. And if anybody has any questions there, Adam has very kindly put his email address there in the sidebar, and I'm sure he's happy to take questions in relation to that. Again, think about LinkedIn, think about developing your own personal networks here as well. This is important. The session is recorded. You can go back and have a look at that in relation to it. If anybody wants a copy of the presentation, by all means get in contact with myself as well, because I know that Adam has some notes in there, in relation to that. But he's talking through them, and it's been absolutely excellent. So again, just to remind you that we have a couple more sessions running this afternoon. I know there's been a slight change to the final session, due to our speaker being stuck in an airport, to be honest with you. So the best laid plans of mice and men. Clearly an issue there. So any quick questions then before we wrap up? I'll take that as a no then. Excellent.
My email and LinkedIn on there. If anyone wants to get in
Yeah.
touch, feel free. Absolutely free to get in touch if you want a copy of the presentation or whatever, etc. And thanks again for listening.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Adam. And I will be in touch with you in relation to some other things that we kind of can have a talk about in relation to this. So I'm going to stop the recording now, folks. I'm going to love yous and leave yous, and I thank you everybody for your participation again in the chat box. It certainly helps to invigorate the session as we go along. So I'm going to stop recording.